Something's inside my apartment, and it knows my name. Eli Ward froze halfway up the stairwell. His apartment door unit for B was ajar. He lived alone, always locked the door, triple-checked it every night. But now, the heavy metal slab stood, slightly open, just enough to let a sliver of flickering light spill out into the dim corridor. A soft, rhythmic hum drifted from inside. It wasn't the heater, it wasn't the fridge. It sounded ... alive. He gripped the railing tightly. Probably a break-in, he muttered, but his voice barely rose above a whisper. He checked his phone. No missed calls. No alerts from the cheap security app he installed last week. And yet something felt deeply, inexplicably wrong. He stepped closer. The hall's motion sensor lights buzzed and flickered overhead. Just outside the door, he noticed a smear of glowing teal residue, smeared along the edges of the frame, like someone had run a wet highlighter along the wood. It pulsed faintly, organic and warm-looking. His breath quickened. The hum grew. Louder. "Hello," he called. "I'm armed." He WASN single quotes T, don't answer, against every instinct telling him to turn around, call the cops, maybe find a different apartment complex to live in entirely. Eli pushed the door open with his foot. Silence. Footsteps. No scurrying, just that strange light. Inside, the apartment was wrong. Not destroyed, not looted, but shifted. The furniture was still there: couch, table, lamp, but each object was angled slightly off, like someone had walked through and adjusted everything to fit an alien aesthetic. Long glowing strands like bioluminescent vines traced the walls in curling patterns, converging toward the hallway that led to his bedroom. He felt something in his chest tightness, a primal warning that whatever was ahead wasn't meant to be seen by human eyes. But he followed the markings anyway. With each step down the hallway, the air grew warmer, denser. The walls shimmered faintly, as if covered in a heat haze, and then a shape moved. She stepped out of his bedroom with unsettling grace. She looked humanoid, mostly, roughly his height. Smooth, silver-violet skin that glowed softly like moonlight on water. She wore what looked like flexible plates of armor, but they folded and shifted with her movements like fabric. Her eyes, completely black with pinpricks of shifting stars, locked onto his. "Eli Ward," she said, her voice a melodic resonance that didn't quite match her mouth movements. "You've returned. The marking is complete." His mouth dried instantly. "Who? How do you know my name?" She tilted her head. A soft trill echoed around them. "This dwelling is now part of my heat cycle. It has been claimed. You have been chosen." Eli took a step back. Chosen for what? She stepped forward. The bond. Before he could react, she lifted one glowing hand and gently pressed it to his chest. His shirt sizzled slightly beneath her touch, and a surge of warmth burst into his sternum like a shot of adrenaline. His knees nearly buckled. "I don't know what you think this is," he gasped, pushing her hand away. "But you need to leave now." "Cannot," she said calmly. "The binding has already begun. I am chemically locked to this space. To you, breaking the process would be ... catastrophic." Eli turned, heart hammering. "I'm calling someone. Security. The police. I don't care who. You will not reach them," she said softly. "Communications have been veiled for your safety. I am not here to harm, only to fulfill the rights." He pulled out his phone. No signal, just a static screen flickering every few seconds. A glitch. No, something was suppressing it. "I didn't ask for this," he snapped. "What the hell are you even?" She lowered her eyes for the first time. "My designation is Ryletary Ven, but you may say Ryla. I am of the Serari species, in my third convergence. During this season, I must find resonance emotional, neural, spatial. It is how we survive, how we evolve." "You picked the wrong guy," he muttered. "I did not pick," Ryla corrected. "You did, when you left your door open, when you looked up at the stars 3 nights ago and wished for something more. The system heard you. It responded." "What system?" "The bioeb. It listens for potential, resonance, harmony." She looked around his apartment, as if admiring a sculpture. "Your environment was compatible. So was your mind. So ... was your loneliness." Eli's jaw tightened. "I want you out of here," he growled. "You can try," she said, stepping back with a strangely fluid bow. "But you will find the universe less ... compliant than you expect." She turned and walked back into his bedroom, leaving faint footprints of light in her wake. He stood there for what felt like an hour, shaking. And then he noticed it. On the far wall, behind his bookshelf, etched in glowing curves, union imminent. He didn't write it. He couldn't even read the symbols consciously, but somehow he knew exactly what they meant, and they pulsed, as if waiting, the mating mark in hand. Why humans should never receive it. Eli didn't sleep that night. How could he? Ryla remained in his bedroom quiet, but undeniably present. Every so often, the lights flickered in a pulse-like rhythm, perfectly timed with the faint vibration that buzzed from the apartment walls. The air itself felt heavier now, scented with something floral and sharp, like lavender spiked with ozone. Sat on the couch, blanket wrapped around his shoulders, staring at the door he knew wouldn't open. He'd tried it 3 times. It wouldn't budge, not stuck, not jammed. It refused, like it had become part of a living organism, like the apartment itself was being rewritten. His phone still showed static. His TV wouldn't turn on. Not even the old coffee machine responded. Power was flowing, but only where it was allowed. And then, as if summoned by thought, she appeared again. RHYLHE, glided down the hallway barefoot, her skin softly glowing. Her eyes caught his in the dim light. "You have not rested," she said. "No kidding," Eli snapped. "Forgive me, but I am still processing the part where you said I was marked for some kind of alien heat cycle." Ryla stopped a few feet away and lowered herself gracefully to sit cross-legged on the floor. She watched him in silence for a moment before speaking again. "In Sirarai tradition, resonance is sacred. It is how our species ensures genetic harmony, balance, and evolution." Eli rubbed his face. "You're talking about mating like it's a cosmic science experiment." "To us," she said gently, "it is. Our reproductive cycles are governed by neural compatibility and environmental energy. We don't breed randomly. We bind with life that mirrors our own frequency. And you think I'm on your frequency because I was lonely and left my door unlocked." "Your mind called out," she said. "The bioweb listens. It connects species seeking meaning, seeking evolution. It is older than either of us can understand, but it is never wrong." He stood up abruptly and paced the room. "Okay, let's say I believe all that, which I don't. Why my apartment? Why me specifically?" Ryla looked up. "Because this place was familiar. Your space, your scent, your thoughts have coated these walls for years. When I passed through this quadrant, I resonated with it immediately. But I did not choose it. The bioweb did." Eli sat down hard on the arm of the couch. "You make it sound like some kind of universal dating app." She smiled softly. "If your dating apps chemically rewrote your DNA, then perhaps..." He stiffened. "What do you mean, rewrite?" Ryla rose and approached. "The marking is not just symbolic, it is biological. A transformation begins, subtle, but real. You may feel sensations, hear things, crave warmth, light, sound. It is your body adapting to shared resonance." "Resonance," he echoed. "You mean I'm becoming like you, not Sarari, not human?" Between she paused. "The process is usually reserved for willing candidates, but the system doesn't always follow local custom. Once initiated, the bond must reach completion or both parties suffer." He stared at her, horrified. "You mean I'll die if we don't?" "What, mate?" She tilted her head. "In essence, though the word mate does not fully encompass what the union is, I'm not doing this. I never agreed. You can't just force me into some evolutionary speed dating ritual." Ryla lowered her eyes. "I understand, but the process is already happening. You have 72 of your hours before the bonding reaches its terminal phase." Eli swallowed hard. "What happens then?" "Either the resonance stabilizes, or it collapses. Catastrophically." Before he could ask what catastrophically meant, the overhead light buzzed violently. The windows rattled. Then everything went still again. "What the hell was that?" Eli whispered, but Ryla was already moving toward the window. She looked out cautiously. "They know," she said quietly. "Who knows?" She turned to him. "Others. Sarari aren't the only species that monitor the bioweb's resonance spikes. This kind of bond attracts attention." Eli joined her at the window. The street outside looked normal, quiet, but then he noticed something strange. A figure standing across the road, unmoving, dressed in a hoodie, face tilted up at Eli's window. He squinted. "Is that..." "They're not human," Ryla said. "Not anymore." Suddenly, the figure turned and walked away with unnatural stiffness, disappearing into the shadows. "I thought you said we were alone here." "We were, until now." Eli stumbled backward and grabbed his phone again. Still static, he turned to his laptop. Dead router, blinking red. Landline, no dial tone. Even his microwave screen now displayed a blinking glyph, not numbers. Symbols. He finally shouted, "What is happening to my apartment?" Ryla responded calmly, "It is no longer just your apartment. It is now part of the binding zone." She looked around the room, her expression becoming grave. "This place has become a beacon." Eli's stomach dropped. She said, "Some curious, some hostile, some ... ancient. And I'm supposed to just wait for that to happen." Ryla looked him dead in the eyes. "No, you prepare. They've been here before and they never leave alone." Eli didn't remember falling asleep, but he woke up choking on his own breath. Sweat slicked his skin. The air felt thicker than ever, like breathing through velvet. The apartment was saturated with that strange glow, again pulsing like a slow heartbeat through the walls. And then he noticed the whispering dot. It wasn't coming from HFY. It came from the walls. Whispers, faint, foreign, fluid. They hissed just out of reach, a language he couldn't understand but felt like his brain was starting to recognize something it shouldn't. Eli stumbled into the bathroom, flicked on the light, and stared into the mirror. His pupils were wider than normal. The whites of his eyes held faint silvery veins, almost like tiny circuits branching from the corners inward. His fingers trembled. He rubbed his arms and stopped cold dot under the skin near his shoulder. Something glowed, a faint blue spiral just under the surface, like a marking live. No, this isn't happening," he muttered. "Phase 2 has begun," came Ryla's voice from the doorway. Eli whirled. "You said I had 72 hours. She stepped into the bathroom's edge, watching him with an unreadable expression. "You do, but your biology is ... responsive, adaptive, more than anticipated." He shook his head. "You mean I'm mutating faster?" She hesitated. "Changing, not mutating. Your body is adapting to the binding. Resistance will cause instability." "Oh great, that's all I need. Unstable alien hormones." He backed away from the mirror, hand pressed against his chest. "Tell me something, Ryla. What happened to the last person this happened to?" "Silence. Don't you dare avoid the question," he said. Ryla sighed. "There was 131 Earth years ago. Another resonance spike occurred within this quadrant. A Serarian heat bonded unintentionally with a human resident, a male. What happened?" "They disappeared," she said softly. "No remains, no trace. The apartment they lived in was eventually sealed, quarantined by local authorities after reports of flickering lights, sound disturbances, and electromagnetic spikes. The place was quietly forgotten." Eli's heart dropped. "You're telling me this isn't the first time," he said, "and nobody ever made it out?" Ryla tilted her head. "No successful bonds were documented. Until now." "I'm not a test subject," Eli snapped. "I'm not letting this happen to me." Suddenly, a low mechanical tone vibrated through the floorboards. A flash of white-blue light burst across the living room windows. Eli ducked instinctively, but the light didn't shatter. Glass, it passed through it. Ryla's posture stiffened. "They're here." "Who?" She didn't answer. Eli ran to the window. 3 figures stood across the street, silhouetted in white jumpsuits that shimmered against the streetlights. Their faces were covered by masks. Behind them, an unmarked black vehicle idled quietly. "What are they?" Eli asked. "Humans," she said. "But not civilians." He glanced at her. "Government. Worse," Ryla murmured. "Terra Division. The Technological Evolutionary Risk Response Agency." Eli blinked. "That sounds made up." "It's not. They are real. Earth's last line of defense against extra-dimensional contamination. They exist to contain anomalies like this." The lights flickered again. A dull knock echoed from the door. 3 knocks, perfectly spaced. Too calm, too calculated. Eli backed away from the door. "What do we do?" "We don't answer," Ryla said quickly. "If they realize we've completed Phase 2, they'll move to incinerate the entire binding zone. They've done it before. They'll burn down my apartment." Ryla nodded solemnly. "And you with it." Eli paced the room, panic rising. Then his eyes landed on the vent beneath the bookshelf. That's where he'd found the old newspaper, clipping mysterious disappearances in Aurora Hills linked to Building 17. He'd thought it was junk, a leftover from some bored conspiracy theorist tenant. He dropped to the floor and pulled at the vent. Inside was a plastic envelope, a little dusty, but sealed tight. He yanked it free and tore it open. Inside were several grainy photographs of symbols scrawled on walls, glowing spirals like the one on his shoulder. A black and white photo of a man early 30s standing beside a woman who looked too beautiful to be human, and a note, written in shaky handwriting. If you're reading this, you've been marked. Don't let the government in. Don't let her finish the cycle. I saw what happened to Mason. He became something else. He couldn't speak by the end. Only hum. If you hear the hum, it's already too late. Eli dropped the paper. Hum. His single quotes, they'd been hearing it for days. A soft vibration echoed in his chest. He hadn't realized it was internal. He looked up at Ryla. What happens if I finish the cycle? She didn't answer. I need to know, he said. Finally, she whispered, you won't be human anymore. Not entirely. You'll be both. A bridge. He stood. And if I stop it, she turned away. You'll die. So will I. The knock at the door came again, this time louder. Not calm, not patient. Ryla's eyes flared. They're preparing to breach. Wait, Eli said. Why can't we just leave? Escape? We can't. Not until the bond stabilizes. The zone is biologically sealed. You step outside now, your body collapses. Mine too. Eli's mind raced. The government outside wanted to contain him. The alien inside said he'd die if he ran. The whispers were growing louder, and his skin glowed faintly, just beneath the surface. He had no choices left, only consequences, and then bang. The front door shook violently, a warning shot. There. Coming in, Ryla said. You must decide. Eli looked at her, then at his hand faintly glowing now with circuits of blue. He didn't know what he was anymore, but someone, or something, had decided he was worth evolving. Quarantine protocol. Humanity must not interbreed. Bang. The door buckled inward, hinges creaking under the pressure. Eli stepped back instinctively, his pulse hammering in his ears. The floor beneath him vibrated with each strike. Ryla stood perfectly still beside him, her glowing skin dimmed, her eyes locked on the doorway. They're accelerating breach protocol, she said. They'll be inside in less than 60 seconds. We can't run, Eli muttered. We can't hide. What do they want? To sterilize the binding zone, Ryla replied coldly. Their mission is not rescue, it's containment. Eli's stomach turned. You mean they'll kill us? They'll erase any trace of alien contamination. They believe resonance bonds are too dangerous for Earth to tolerate. Another crash. This time something clicked. In the doors, framer lock disengaging remotely. Eli turned to Ryla, panic rising. Isn't there some way to stop this? You're alien royalty or something, right? Don't you have tech? She nodded slowly. There is one last failsafe. A defense mechanism encoded into the binding process itself. But if I activate it, the final phase begins. Final phase. Our merge. Full integration. Once started, it cannot be undone. Eli stared at her. You're saying we either let them kill us, or finish the process and become something else? Yes, she said, and quickly. Crack. The door tore inward, half off its hinges. Light flooded. The apartment cold. Clinical white beams. Eli shielded his eyes. 3 figures stepped in. Their suits hissed with pressurized gas, and circular visors scanned the room with worry sounds. One raised a hand in a silent signal halt. They froze. Ryla stepped forward, raising her hands. We mean no harm. The bonding is stable. Host aggression. No risk. One of the agents lifted a small disc-like device. It blinked red immediately. A robotic voice emitted from it. Category B interlink detected. Phase 2 complete. Protocol 7 engaged. Quarantine required. A second agent raised a sleek, tube-shaped weapon. He aimed it directly at Eli's chest. No, Ryla shouted, her voice reverberating unnaturally through the air. The agent fired. Everything went white. For a moment, Eli thought he was dead. But when the flash faded, the room around him shimmered like melted, glass-wisted, warped, unreal. The agents stood frozen, encased in translucent blue energy fields. Their bodies twitched as though caught in a slowed-down frame of time. What just happened? Eli gasped. Ryla stood in the center of the room, glowing brightly now, her skin almost translucent, like molten crystal. I activated the failsafe, she said. This is the resonance shell, a time-slowing boundary field. We have minutes, no more. Eli looked down at his hands. They weren't fully human anymore. His veins glowed, and parts of his skin shimmered in strange fractal patterns that shifted. As he moved, I don't feel like myself, he whispered. You're not just yourself anymore, she replied. You're becoming the bridge, the union. Bridge to what? Between species, between worlds. If the merge completes, you will carry the first successful Sorari-human hybrid consciousness, a living link. That sounds like a lot for a guy who just wanted a quiet Thursday night. Ryla gave a small smile. Evolution is never quiet. He sat down hard on the couch, staring at the frozen agents. Why does Terra care so much about this? Why not just let you leave? Because the Sorari failed once before, Ryla said softly. Centuries ago, we seeded bonding candidates across primitive planets. One world's Alori prime adapted too quickly. Within 2 generations, they dominated the Sorari line. We lost control, became extinct in their region. Terra knows this story. They fear it will happen again here, on Earth. So I'm not just a target, I'm a risk, Ryla nodded. To them, you are no longer human, and they will not allow what you represent to survive. Eli leaned forward, resting his head in his hands. Why me? Why not someone smarter, stronger? You resonated, she said. The bioweb doesn't choose based on strength. It listens for potential, curiosity, compassion. He laughed bitterly. I wanted answers. I wanted to feel like I mattered. I didn't think it would come with glowing skin and government death squads. Silence stretched between them. Finally, he stood up and looked at her. What happens if I go through with it? All the way. Full merge. You'll cease to be only Eli Ward. You'll be something more. A synthesis. You'll carry both memories, Sorari and human. You'll be able to transmit, to connect, to what Ryla looked upward, to everything. Eli stared at the frozen agents again, and then he made his decision. What do I have to do? She walked forward and extended her hands. Her palms glowed softly. Take my hands. Accept the final resonance. Eli hesitated, then took them. The moment they touched, the apartment exploded with light, not fire, not energy, but information. Symbols, sounds, memories, and colors that had never existed in his world swirled around him. He saw entire cities, made of sound. He heard a child's laugh echo across time. He saw Earth, but not the one he knew. It was peaceful, evolved, connected, and then he was back. The apartment was still. The agents were gone. So was Ryla, but her voice remained in his mind. The merge is complete. You are the first. You are the bridge. Now, they will come. Eli stepped toward the window. In the distance, above the skyline, a single point of light shimmered and pulsed faintly, echoing his own. The bond is complete, and now, Earth isn't safe. Eli didn't move for a long time. The apartment was silent, generally so. No hum, no flickering lights, no agents, no alien woman pacing like she owned the place. Just the faint buzz of city life outside, and the still, low breath of a planet unaware that everything had just changed. His fingers trembled as he held them out. They weren't normal anymore, not entirely. Faint threads of bioluminescence traced along the veins of his arms, pulsing with each heartbeat. When he closed his eyes, he could feel things, distant things. Not emotions exactly, and not thoughts, but intentions. Like a million silent satellites had turned toward him, waiting. Ryla was gone, at least, in the physical sense. But her voice, her presence lingered inside him like a radio tuned to a frequency just beneath conscious thought. The merge is complete. You are the first. You are the bridge. Now they will come. Who? He muttered aloud. Who's coming? No answer. Not yet. He stumbled to the window, gripping the sill to steady himself. And there it was, a faint, pulsing light in the sky, hovering just above the cloud line. It wasn't a star. It wasn't moving. And it wasn't there the night before. Eli, Squinted, It blinked once, twice, then vanished. He felt a twinge in his skull. Not pain, not even discomfort, just pressure, like something had taken note of him. He backed away from the window, heart pounding again. Whatever had happened, whatever he had become, wasn't over. The process had only begun. 12 hours later, the knock came. Not from Terra this time, not the cold, calculated pounding of government-issued boots. Just a quiet, polite knock. 4 taps, then silence. Eli approached the door cautiously. He didn't open it, just leaned close. Who is it? He asked. A woman's voice answered, calm and pleasant. Mr. Ward, I'm not here to harm you. I'm a scientist. My name is Dr. Lena Ivers. I work for a private research coalition that monitors off-world anomalies. We've been tracking your signal." He hesitated. "You're not with Terra." "No," she said quickly, "but we know about them. We're not like them. We don't burn what we don't understand." Eli considered that, then opened the door but left the chain on. She looked like someone out of place at the end of the world. Lab coat, datapad, tired eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. No armor, no glowing tech. "You're glowing," she said gently. Eli looked down. The light under his skin had intensified since last night. "Yeah," he said dryly. "It's been a week." She gave a faint, sympathetic smile. "Can I come in, just to talk?" He studied her for a long moment before finally nodding. He shut the door, undid the chain, and let her in. She stepped inside and immediately glanced around, her expression a strange mix of awe and concern. "You're the first confirmed case, an actual hybrid." Eli crossed his arms. "You say that, like I volunteered." "I know you didn't," she said. "That's the thing about resonance, it finds you, whether you're ready or not." He sat on the edge of the couch. "So what now? Is there a cure, a reversal?" Dr. Ivers shook her head slowly. "No, what's done is permanent. You've completed the bonding. You are now a living frequency. Node, the first. And soon, there will be more." Eli's stomach turned. "More like me. Maybe not exactly like you. But the signal you're emitting, it's not just passive. It's active, it's calling out. And something has already answered." He looked at her sharply. "The light in the sky." She nodded. "We've been tracking it. It's not a starship in the traditional sense. It's a conscious vessel. A living craft. We think it belongs to the Etherkana, Serari offshoot species. They respond to resonance waves. So they're coming for me. They're coming for your frequency," she said. "Your body is now a key, a bridge. The Etherkin could view you as proof that Earth is ready to be connected to the greater web." Eli stood and began pacing. "But we're not ready. Terra's out there planning to burn this building to the ground." "I know," she said. "That's why we came to you first. If we can make contact peacefully, you might be the only one who can mediate. The only one they'll recognize." He stared at her. "You want me to play diplomat for a species I've never met, whose language I don't speak, and who might consider me half insect?" "Not diplomat," she said. "Anchor, you're not a representative. You are the signal. Your thoughts, your intentions, your very being, it broadcasts." Eli paused, remembering what Ryla had told him. Once stabilized, the bond transmits truth, not words, meaning, not language. Dr. Ivers pulled out a datapad and tapped a few keys. A waveform appeared on the screen, pulsing in a perfect sine pattern. "This is your resonance field. It's growing. You're already linked to 6 orbiting satellites, half a dozen defense systems, and we detected a minor gravitational ripple an hour ago that aligned with your heartbeat." Eli blinked. "You're saying I can influence machines now?" "I'm saying," she said, "you're more than human now, and the universe has noticed." He slumped into the couch. "God, I was just some guy. I wanted a better life. Now, I'm a beacon." "You're not alone," she said quietly. He looked up. "Others will come," she said. "Not just aliens. Others like you. Humans changed by contact. Quiet cases. Whispers we've followed for years. You're the first. Successful merge, but you won't be the last." Outside, a flash of light shimmered again in the sky. It was closer now, brighter. He could feel it not just with his eyes, but in his bones, in his mind. The Etherkin were almost here, and whether he liked it or not, he would be Earth's first. Answered the choice: save humanity, or let it evolve. The sky above the city cracked with silent light. It wasn't thunder or lightning, no storm, just an expanding ripple of luminescence that shimmered across the horizon like a great curtain being pulled aside. Eli stood on the rooftop of his building, heart thudding in his chest. Every part of him now pulsed with quiet energy. His skin was no longer just human, it was semi-luminous, alive with moving symbols beneath the surface. His mind was no longer silent. It was connected, not overwhelmed, but listening to something larger than himself. Dr. Ivers stood beside him, face pale with awe as the glowing ship descended. The Ithacan vessel was unlike anything Earth had ever seen. It didn't fly, it floated, not defying gravity, but bypassing it. Its hull wasn't metal. It looked like woven glass and coral, constantly shifting, reshaping itself. Its light was soft, not threatening. The structure emitted no sound, and yet Eli could hear it, not through ears, through resonance. It called to him, not with words, but a feeling, recognition, connection, purpose. They've arrived, Dr. Ivers whispered. Are you ready? Eli took a breath. I don't think that matters anymore. Before she could respond, the rooftop shimmered, space folded, and then opened like a flower, a doorway. From it, 3 Etherkin emerged. They walked, if it could be called walking, with elegance beyond human grace. Their bodies shimmered in translucent hues. They were tall, lithe, their forms constantly changing between solid and vaporous. No mouths, no eyes, but still, somehow, they watched him. The moment their feet touched the rooftop, Eli felt it blink, as if a million stars had turned to face him all at once. You are the first. The thought wasn't spoken. It pressed gently into his consciousness. He nodded. I didn't choose this. None of us choose resonance. It chooses us. Then, what happens now? He asked aloud, even though speaking felt strange, unnecessary. Now, Earth chooses survival or synthesis. Behind him, Dr. Ivers stepped forward. What do you mean? The Etherkin responded directly to Eli. Your world stands at the cusp. You've shown readiness in spirit, but fear in action. You are capable of unity, addicted to division. We came not to invade. We came to ask. Eli's head throbbed. He could feel terror forces mobilizing in the city below. Drones, soldiers, protocol red. The world was preparing for war, because it didn't understand. They'll fire on you, he said. They'll try to stop this. We are aware. Then why offer peace? Because conflict is a primitive frequency. You resonate on something higher now. Your decision, your will can retune your species. Shift them forward. You want me to give you Earth? He asked, stepping back. Slightly. We want you to help it evolve. The rooftop around him shimmered again. This time, visions came. He saw a possible Earth. Forests regrown. Cities suspended in harmony with nature. Disease eradicated by molecular harmony. People who felt one another, not reading thoughts, but understanding intention. He saw an Earth of peace, but then another flash, a darker Earth. One where terror wiped out the hybrids, cut the signal, and scorched the world to protect it from infection. An Earth sealed in fear. 2 futures. One choice. Behind him, he heard the whine of a Terra hoverjet descending nearby. The rooftop lights flared as a voice barked through a megaphone. This is Commander Albrecht of Terra Division. Step away from the aliens. You are under quarantine. Order 113G. This is your final warning. Eli turned. Dozens of soldiers, weapons, drawn. Ignore them, Dr. Ivers said. If you run now, they'll kill you. If you stand still, they'll panic. They're not listening. Eli looked back at the Etherkin. I'm just one person, he said. How can I decide for billions? You are the resonance. Not ruler, not savior, just the signal. Decide, and they will feel it. He closed his eyes. He thought about fear, about the last few days, about how he'd been ripped from normalcy and forced into something he never asked for. And yet, hadn't he always felt like something was missing? Like the world was off-key, that humanity was spinning in circles. Maybe this wasn't invasion. Maybe this was the answer. He opened his eyes and stepped forward. The soldiers shouted, warning him to stop. He raised his hand, not in aggression, but in transmission, and then he opened. His mind flared outward, like a signal tower. Not a blast, a wave. It wasn't words. It was a message carried through feeling, light, and memory, a resonance of possibility. Every mind within miles felt it. The soldiers lowered their weapons, not because they understood, but because they sensed peace, trust, balance. The Terra commander's face went pale. He stepped back. The sky shimmered again, this time not with a ship, but with a network of light spreading outward from Eli's body, like roots through the sky. The Etherkin bowed their heads. Earth has accepted. The process begins. Dr. Ivers wiped her eyes. What did you just do? She whispered. Eli looked up at the stars. Something new, he said. Something better. Epilogue. 6 months later, the world had changed. Not overnight, not explosively, but quietly, like snow melting in spring. The resonance net spread gently, connecting people not by surveillance or tech but by understanding. Conflicts paused, ecosystems healed, minds sharpened, art flourished, and Eli lived quietly, walking among the world he helped awaken, still part human, still himself, but something more. Final line lesson. Sometimes, the most powerful thing a human can do is listen to the future calling and have the courage to answer with open arms.